Hello everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of 5 for how to make a 3D printed Labyrinth marble maze. So this is your landing page for Onshape. This is where we're always going to start. We've already started a project right here with our Labyrinth. You can see the arm we made in part 1. So we're just going to double click on that and enter back into our project here. So the next part we need to make is the larger arm that connects to this cylinder right here. So we'll show you how to make that. You're going to click this plus sign for insert new tab. Basically, this is going to give you a new environment to make a new part in. So you're going to click that plus, and then you're going to click create part studio. So part studio is where you can make a new part. And just like last time, you'll remember every single thing we ever do is going to start with a sketch. So we're going to do the same thing this time. I'm going to click my front plane, and it really doesn't matter which one you pick, whichever one you want, but I'm just going to pick my front plane here, and then I'll click sketch, and then I'll type N, so I'm looking right at my sketch, so it's easier to make the sketch I need to. And then the first part of this is going to be basically an oval. And that oval basically has, if you can think about it, like a circle on one end and a circle on the other end with lines connecting them. So that's how we're going to do this. We're going to go with a circle right here. And this circle needs to be 10 millimeters in diameter. So I'm going to type in 10 and hit enter. And then I still have my circle tool highlighted right here. And I'm going to go directly horizontal from this first circle. And I'm going to click and drag and click. And then this also needs to be 10 millimeters in diameter. Then I'm going to make my lines that connect these two. So I'm going to click my line tool so I can make a line. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to go directly above my origin right here on my circle. So I'm going to click there and drag horizontally over until, see, this is not horizontal, until I have it snapped horizontally to my second circle, just like that. Then I'm going to hit escape so that I can get out of my line tool, so I don't make another extra line there that I don't want. And then I'm going to click my line tool again so I can make another line, and I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. So make sure I'm vertically directly below my origin, and then click on my circle, drag horizontally, and get my second circle. Make sure that I'm horizontal and not kind of off angle like this. There we go. Escape so that I can get out of my line tool. And then you can see this outside perimeter right here is the shape we want, but we don't want these parts of the circle, just like last time. So again, just like last time, we're going to change that in the same way. We're going to use our scissors or our trim tool and just click and drag through here and click and drag through that one, and then they're gone. Easy. Next, we're going to decide how far apart we want these center points to be. So I'm going to use my dimension tool right here. I'm going to click one center point, and then I'm going to click the other center point, and then I'm going to move up here and click. I want this to be 30 millimeters. So 30, enter. And there we go. This is going to be almost our first extrusion. There's one extra thing we need to add still. So we're going to extrude another cylinder right here, but that is not going to be a part of this sketch. We do need a hole right here, and we can just make that a part of this same sketch. So if I grab my center point tool, or center point circle tool again, and I grab this center point and make sure that I'm snapped to that actual center point and not off to the side at all. You can see if you have that orange box around it, you're snapped to it. I'm going to click and drag and click, and I want this to be 7.5 millimeters. There we go. And I'm going to hit escape to get out of my circle tool, and then green check mark because I'm done with my sketch. Now I'm going to extrude this sketch that we just made. I'll rotate so you can kind of see what we're working with here. I'm going to click the extrude tool. Again, this is the only tool up here we've learned so far. It's what you're going to use most of the time. After I've clicked that, I'm going to click on the sketch that I just made, and it'll extrude that sketch. I want this to be 8 millimeters thick. There we go. Green check mark because I'm done with that extrusion. I've made it the way I want it to be. And then I want to add a cylinder right here. So again, like we were saying last time, you can make a sketch on any flat surface of the part. It doesn't have to be on a plane once you have a part. It doesn't have to be on one of your sheets of paper if you think about it that way. So I'm going to grab my front surface here, have it highlighted, and then click sketch, saying I'm going to sketch on that surface. And then I'm going to type N. So I'm looking right at that again. And this one is really simple. You just go up here, click your center point circle tool, click your center point, and drag and click. And I want this one to also be 7.5 millimeters. I'm going to green check mark. And then you can see right here, it's that light gray that highlights orange when I scroll over it, or move my mouse over it. And then I'm going to extrude that as well. So click my extrude tool. You can kind of see the patterns that happen here. Click my sketch, and then I want this to be 12 millimeters long. So I hit 12 and then enter, and then green check mark. And now there's only one extrusion left for this part. So not a terribly complex part. I'm going to click this surface. This is where my next sketch is going to be. So I've clicked that surface, and now I'm going to click sketch, and I'm going to type N. So I'm looking right at my sketch. And this time I want to make a square. So you can see we have our corner rectangle tool right here. And that could be useful, but it'd be difficult to make sure you're exactly centered on this circle. So we don't want that. So now that I've clicked there, I'm going to hit escape so I get out of that tool. You can see there's an arrow to the right of this corner rectangle tool. If I click that arrow, there are more options for how you can make rectangles. We want this middle one right here, the center point rectangle. And this one you make just like a circle. So after I've clicked that, I have that activated. My first click places the center of my square, and then I drag just like a circle. And then my second click places the corner of my square that sets both of my side dimensions. So I'm going to click right there, and it doesn't matter that it's a rectangle even though I want it to be a square. Like you can see, I can drag over these dimensions to make them what I want them to be. So I want this to be 4.7, enter. And then I want this one to also be 4.7, but say you accidentally hit escape. Again, you could just go to your dimension tool, click that edge, drag over to the side, click again, and type 4.7, enter. There we go. Now we have that square. Now there is one extra little artifact that makes this a little bit easier to go together once you're actually assembling it. And for this, we have to zoom in quite a bit because it's really small, actually. It's a tiny triangle that goes right here, just on one of the sides of your square. And it makes the plastic pieces that you're pushing together be what's called a press fit, where you have to press with force to put them together instead of them just slipping on and off really easily. And we want that because you don't want the knob that presses onto here to slide off the end while you're trying to solve your marble maze. So in order to do this one, I'm just going to grab my line tool again, and I'm going to click on this edge, and then you can see I have my vertical line right here. My origin is right here, and the reason we did that is you can then make this, it's a lot easier to make this symmetric. So I'm going to go vertically above my origin. You can see I have the orange dotted line. I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to go over here. And I don't actually want to snap that to being perpendicular. You can see that extra glyph shows up right there and goes away and then shows up there. That's saying that my angle up here is 90 degrees. We don't actually want that. So I'm going to go all the way over here because I can dimension this however I want to. And I'm going to hit escape. And then this is how we're going to make this actually symmetric. I'm going to grab my dimension tool. I'm going to make this 33 degrees. And I'm going to make this 33 degrees. And that is going to make both sides symmetric. So now you can see they're the same. But that's still too big of a triangle for what we need. So I'm going to put one more dimension in there. I still have my dimension tool highlighted. Make sure that's highlighted for this. Click that top point. Click this edge and then drag to the side. I'm going to click there, and then this is going to be 0.2 millimeters. Really small. You can make it 0.3 and that'll still work just fine. It'll be a little bit tighter of a press fit, which is just, it depends on what you want it to be. And then I'm just going to get rid of this line in the middle right here, not the whole thing, not on the outside, but just what's on the inside of my triangle. That way I can extrude this whole thing pretty easily. So I'm going to grab my scissors, so my trim tool, and drag through that line so that it's gone. And now I have a continuous perimeter that I can extrude. So we are now done with our last sketch for this part. I'm going to click the green check mark, and then you can see I have my sketch right there. It's really hard to see if you're not highlighting it. It's a very light gray, but if you highlight it, you can really see what that is. I'm going to extrude this as well. So same tool we've been using the whole time. I'm going to click on that sketch, and then I want this one to be 10 millimeters in diameter. Or sorry, not in diameter, in length. My bad. And then green check mark. We're done with this extrusion. Last thing we want to do on here is make sure that these edges right here aren't completely sharp. We want to soften them. We want to round them out a little bit. That way it's going to make it a little bit easier. I press spacebar to unselect things there. That way it's going to make it a little bit easier to assemble this into the knob, which is going to be part 3. So this is going to be the second tool we use up here. It's called fillet. I don't know why they named it fillet, but a lot of people also call it round because it rounds out sharp edges. So if I've selected that and then I click this sharp edge right there, you can see it makes it much more rounded out. Now that's a lot more round than we want. We just need a little bit broken off of that, a little bit rounded off. So we want 0.5 millimeters. Not much, but you can see how that rounds it out. And then I'm going to click my other 4 edges while I'm still in this fillet tool, and it'll make them all 0.5 millimeter radius. All right, and then I'm going to green check mark because I'm done with my fillet there. And this is your second part. So not too complex. Hopefully you were able to follow along. If not, we can certainly help you through, and you can figure out, or we can figure out together where you're kind of getting caught up, and you can get this part made. So thanks for watching, and you can join in part 3 when we will be making the knobs.